Okay. Good evening. I'm Jeff Place with Jeff's Place European Outdoors and Travel. Some of y'all might be new to this channel, and if so, thank you. Thank you for coming to this page. Well, um, to be upfront, I am trying a new platform this evening. It's a streaming service, and what I'm trying to figure out is the best way to provide some coverage on hunting by taking some previous GoPro footage and being able to kind of talk through some of the different things. So I'm a novice at doing all this broadcasting stuff. Uh, so just bear with me. I'll be experimenting with the microphone this evening and seeing how things are going as far as like sound quality, image quality, and things like that. So some of y'all out there, be pedantic as much as you wish. I will definitely appreciate your input. Yeah, I can see now why some people have the studios the way they have it. I can also see how, maybe, just maybe, you want to be able to know how to work the software. So currently as it stands, I've been trying this whole new setup, and basically I'm able to kind of move the picture around and stuff. So we're going to be going over a video today, as you can see down here, basics of a German Ansitzhunt. Now, to kind of baseline everybody. So let's start out with, all right, you're in Germany and you have a hunting license, and maybe you're not from Germany, or it's something new. So if you're on a hunt, it's probably because you got invited. It's most likely because you got invited. And in fact, I can't think of a time that I didn't get invited. Um, the there are times that are pay to play, but that's still an invite. The expectation is that you pay, and not all hunts involve open stream. The stream. What does it say? The stream current bit rate is lower than recommended bit rate. Okay. Open the widget. Say my stream status is pretty good. All right. Well, we are learning this. It looks like I have good connection. So please bear with me as I work on how to do this. This is pretty, it's actually been the best software that I've seen so far that I've used. I'm not going to drop the name on it, but y'all could probably figure out which one I'm using. It's really simple. I've tried a couple other software pieces, but they just bogged everything down. This one, I got a good connection, but it's not necessarily optimum. Part of that is my internet service here and the way I'm running. I'm not necessarily running fiber, I don't think so. Anyway, back to what I was going to say was, you're going to be on a hunt because you got invited, or you have a long-standing relationship from previous invites, and now you're on a revere, managed land. And so there's different kinds of hunts that take place. There's ones where you walk in the woods, and called Pierce hunting. Those are safe for professionals. There's and license. There has an additional amount of licensing and other things that are involved. There is drive hunts or drukjags, where you are either a beater or you are someone sitting in the stand. and the beaters come through and they push game and they're fleeting through your area, and the intent is to assist those reviers or those forest services in reducing the annual count that they need to reducing the total number of population based off of a prescribed plan for that region or that state or that specific piece of land, based on the feedback they may have gotten from the we call it hunting authorities. It's kind of a lot of different things that are going on with conservation in Germany's, but the point is it's not cut and dry on what your harvest count is going to be. So it's not like you're going to have a 4 deer tag, and more importantly, it's also about what species of deer. So if you're going to consider hunting in Germany, then I would say the number one thing you're probably going to learn is that it's not anything like you've seen in the States. And the hunting stands themselves, I would say, are probably not as they vary. Some hunting stands are better than I've seen in the States in regards to the quality of the materials used, how it's constructed, and then there's ones where it might seem very barbaric or very crude in nature, but they serve a purpose because the idea is to acquire your game as quick as you can. And yeah, you don't need a lot of stuff in the way. You don't need windows, plexiglass, all this other stuff, and you may not be baiting per se. May not be authorized to bait, and then again, you may be baiting in a what's called a Kirung, and you're baiting for a specific species. Now, as different as it is, and as complicated as it can be, I will tell you, it's a lot of fun. So, this evening, I want to kind of talk through some of this. All right, so got all that. Move this out of the way. Now that I know I've been streaming with the little video thing in the background. All right, so I posted this video. I think it was last week, 2 weeks ago, maybe even 3 weeks ago. Point is, this video is going to cover a couple things. So, to set conditions, let's say that you got your hunting license, and one of your fellow Americans has invited you to go onto a on-sits hunt, where you sit on a stand, and you're going to wait for game to come, and you're going to have a briefing by your pester or your land manager or someone he's appointed and entrusted to put you in the stand. Could be several people putting other people in the stand. It depends on the number of people, but the ones I've done with other Americans, we're looking at about somewhere between 5 to 8 people getting sit in for a day or for a night, and we do a sunset hunt for deer. I try to go after pigs with thermals or night vision in the night, and then go after deer with normal sights, normal scopes, etc. Come morning. So, a couple things. All right. Just going to go over a couple basics here. All right. I tried to do a narration on this thing, and it just wasn't working very well for me. All right, so what you're seeing here is I have been put in a stand, or I've been put in a parking spot where they're going to drop me off, and you should probably know where your truck is in relation to your stand, because not always are you going to have it's not always going to make sense. I've probably more than 50% of the time I've been able to see my pickup truck and know that there is game that could come that direction. So the same goes for other trucks. I've seen stands where there's a highway that comes in between. There's dog walking trails. There's horse trails, etc. So just be mindful. You might not have the best seating, and you shouldn't ask for a better seat. Just take what you're given. Now, what I'm setting up here is I'm getting the gun all ready to get loaded up. I got all my stuff for after the hunt, for butchering, etc. Now, I'm not going to be chatting in this one this evening, so if anybody's chiming in or doing whatever else, my stream rate is low. But here's the thing that's important. Weapon safety. Always have your stuff on safe. Now, that's a K98. So K98, there's a couple things here you need to know about a K98. Okay? First and foremost, if you don't have it magazined before you try to chamber it, it's gonna, like, if you just go straight in chamber and try to close the bolt, good luck. You got to magazine it, and you can see how stiff that safety is. Now I want you to imagine it's middle of night and you got thermals attached to that scope, and then all of a sudden you need to put that thing on fire, and you're like the only thing that's making noise in the woods. So understand that you might make a click, and there comes a point in time where as soon as you make your acquisition onto the game and you're trying to get a good sight on it and get a good shot deep behind the shoulder, by the time you're actually going to squeeze the trigger, that click may have traveled that far in sound. And so yeah, just understand sound travels, not necessarily immediate to your game, and it can, maybe they flinch as you decide to squeeze the trigger. So be mindful of your trigger noise. It's good to bring a seat cushion and a stick. I will say that, yeah, I had my hands full. I didn't feel like I needed to have everything ready to go. But, an improvement would be try to, have your hands free. So when you go to a hunting stand and you park in your spot, you might have to walk a little bit. More importantly, you might have to walk with your guide, and your guide has to put you into a certain spot. So this is not the time to fool around. When you get to your link up point and you're meeting all your hunters and your guide, you should have most of what you need already organized, minus your stowed and locked firearm and ammunition as per the instructions of your state, which typically is the same, but I'm not getting into that. You want to know more about that, take a hunting course. When you end up departing your parking area and you're headed down the trail, and maybe you're with your guide, just make sure don't be a gypsy camp. Don't be clattering, clanging things. Don't click your horn, or don't beep your horn. Don't make noise more than you need to, and don't slow down the guide. It's good to be in a decent enough shape to come out and to enjoy these things. But don't be that guy, because he might have to get back to the stand, or not to the stand. He might have to get back to his vehicle and go put other people there, because you may have come down here in a road march in like a convoy fashion and take you stand by stand by stand. In this case, where this stand, he had dropped me off here, pointed at the stand, told me, this is yours, blah, blah, blah. You can park up there, follow us, I'll point where you can park, and then pull over, park, go to your stand, and let me know if you're coming out of your stand because of weather. So on that note, we had a WhatsApp chat to kind of keep in communication. One, I was the lead American, making sure that these guys were, safe and everybody was set in. So we keep an eye on each other, and sometimes we keep that chat open just in case somebody pops something that's pretty big and they want to split the meat, because I'll get into that in a little bit, but we'll talk about a little bit about after the hunt. But here you go. Here's a traditional stand right here. It does have a cover over the head to keep me from getting any immediate rain. Sideways rain, not so much. It's got a camo net around it that kind of obscures my movement from my body. And you can see that I've got a forest behind me and an open field to my what's going to be my front. And I had pretty much every direction, and I'm going to tell you right now, I didn't get anything on this hunt. This has nothing to do with bagging anything. But other guys did get stuff on this hunt, and we did harvest some stuff. But you just need to know right now, I didn't get anything on this one. But you're going to see some stuff that you should take note. So. Or when earlier I was kind of mentioning, like, don't be picky about where your stand is. Like, take what you're given, right? Now currently, what you see right now is I'm getting ready to scale up those steps. So I'm going to unload that chamber, magazine it, place on safe, move on out. I mean, this is the kind of stuff that, this isn't even very much to have to crawl through. I've seen hills I've had to climb up. This is actually pretty easy, but add a little bit of frost, add some moss, if you add moss and you add a little bit of rain, a little bit of cold, you can imagine how slick it is, especially those timbers. All right, one thing I want to point out right now. If you look at these legs, like, they're solid. They haven't been cut, they haven't been damaged, they haven't been, if you were to be scaling a stand and you didn't take time to look, you could be putting yourself in a lot of risk. I hate to say it, but not everybody likes hunting like you. And not everybody believes in what you believe as a hunter. And there are people that will go out of their way to cause you harm, regardless if it would kill you, by cutting these stands. It is considered a crime. I don't know all the laws behind it, but to maliciously do something or cause intent harm to hurt a hunter, there are rules that are in play. They're not supposed to be vandalized, they're not supposed to be pulled down, but let me tell you, it happens. And it's a danger. But more importantly, these things are made of wood and they age over time. And some of these reviers, the pesters or those responsible for managing the stands, look, they need a little love and care, and sometimes they don't get the love and care they need. And so you could be your own worst enemy. It doesn't necessarily require vandalism and malicious activity or intent to harm a hunter. It could simply just be, aged and worn and weathered, or wind has come in, or a tree has fallen on it. Or most important, I would say, especially if it's an enclosed stand with windows, it could be infested with yellow jackets, big giant hornets from Africa. and they'll mess you up. So take a look in your stand before you climb in. And if you do see a stand and there's say a loop, a branch that's like conspicuously at like head height, so that you walk up to it and you see a twig that's looped around, that's a warning that there's something wrong with that stand and you shouldn't climb up it, which means a lot of that will be ruled out as a guest. They should have already looked, but mistakes can be made. So most of the time, you're not going to have any issues where they put you in a stand. But if you're on a revere because you have a Bewegungsschein or a permission to be on that land, and you are going to go to different stands, and not all stands are being maintained constantly, and one might get left out, and one guy uses that one stand for a certain time of year for fox or whatever. It could you can end up with a bad situation at the wind. So I'll leave it at that. And if it gets windy and you don't like it, get out. In this case, in this instance, I do get out of the stand because the weather comes in. Prost. A common theme I have about putting sticks, climbing sticks or walking sticks or any objects on the stand. You saw how I tilted that hiking stick. Like, I like to put stuff where it could possibly fall. They could lay in this position where it would fall. Just let gravity finish doing its work so you don't have any surprises later. Do the same with water bottles. Alright, this stuff sucks. This stuff sucks. It's good and all, but my favorite thing to have is just an open stand. And I'll have like blankets in my backpack, and the blankets are good for covering up the gun. I'll show you that in a minute, but I can just use blankets to do the same. You want to get into the semantics. Oh, well, the deer might not be used to seeing that blanket, and like, yeah, I've never had any issue. I've been like just like 5-10 feet from a fox with blankets that my pets have been on with me, and just set it up, and but the fox had no idea I was there until I rubbed my elbow on the stand. And so yeah, the whole scent blocker thing, the whole changing the environment, it's not whitetail deer hunting. It's better than that. All right, gonna do some calling for roe deer. So what you heard there basically was the cadence of hitting that Butalo blower, and as you vary it up. When you buy these calls, they'll have a piece of paper in there, and they'll tell you these different rhythms, and they vary from like 3 to 5 seconds. Usually two short ones and one two short calls and then a long one. And basically, that's supposed to lure in a buck. This was raybuck season. The 6 or 7 of us that were out here were hoping to see some raybuck. I ended up not seeing anything until in the morning, but they were way too far away, and no backstop available to me. So that's important here, having backstop. That's another reason why we're elevated in the stand, is to create backstop. So, when you get to your stand, you see how I've got the rifle sitting there. I've got it to a spot. I'm pointed in a direction that's safe, where I'm supposed to intend to be shooting. I've got everything kind of balanced. It can't fall over. And I'm just in a nice, comfortable spot. I also take the time to get everything ready. So you can see that, like, I like to have a battle belt, and I use that battle belt because, well, for me, it's a proven item. It's got water, I've got drag line, I got a tourniquet, I've got spare batteries. I basically have the tools that I want to have on me when I'm going to have to leave the stand and recover something that I shot, or I need to go help somebody else out. So, but the idea is to have everything set up in a way that you can be quiet. But again, we're not worried about scent blocker. We're not worried about anything like no face paint on. Yeah, I might wear like a mosquito mesh net face cover, but you see how I have my glove on my left hand. So the reason I have a glove on my left hand and not on my right, one, I can use my right hand to call on the phone, but my glove on my left hand is going to be on the front end of my rifle, right? So, and as doing that, it's a big white flag, so I just try to tone it down. And in the right hand, usually the forearm is covering up my trigger finger and my trigger hand, so I usually don't have a glove on that hand until it gets cold. But that's the reason for the glove on one hand. And then you also can see that I got the Velcro tab tucked in here instead of it being closed because Velcro is freaking noisy. Anyway, another thing to notice here. So choosing binoculars. If you're going to choose binoculars, in this case, I'm using a scope that is got a power of, I think it's 2 to 12 power, and this is a 10 power binoculars. And the binoculars, these are 42s, and the scope I got is either a 52 or 54. You want to try to pick a set of optics that are close to the size of the rifle, so that when you transition between rifle and binoculars, that you can have the same kind of perspectives of when you're acquiring with your eyes. So when you see an object behind a tree and then you want to, you finally say, okay, that's definitely something I'm able to hunt. That's something I'm allowed to harvest. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to transition to my rifle and get a good sight. When your optics are widely apart in a magnification, etc., you're changing perspectives very abruptly. It's really more important for like when you have a very short amount of time to look, and you're getting towards the end of the hunt. When it's the beginning of the hunt and everything else, it's not so much of an issue. It's also not an issue if you're just not in a hurry and you're going to be selective, which in an onsets you should be selective, because just popping the first thing that comes out might not be the best option. So. Having a thermal cell. Now, this is springtime in Germany. I'm checking my light, make sure it's good. I got the simple buttons up there to turn it on. I mean, this thing, you couldn't get more simpler. But I'll tell you, having a thermocell, I pretty much take it year round, except the dead of winter. Let's talk Murphy's Law. So that right there, trying to get a zipper open. I had a little kit in there. I think it's like a fire starter kit, or even some other odds and ends for my thermocell, and the baggie was getting caught on the inside of the zipper. I fought that thing forever. Anyway, you're going to learn your loadout. And your loadout, the first time you take something with you and you have your checklist and you're getting everything you think you want, I will tell you, like, you're going to learn what you need and what you don't need. You're definitely remember what you forgot. But I also want you to notice, like, I've got right now this backpack. I actually have like my little scarf from Afghanistan, and I've got it wrapped here. I actually used it to kind of tie the backpack to this 2x4 or 2x3 so that I could rest up there. And I lay on I use my side right here, and I have something to lean up against. I can take a little nap. Always make it to where you can take a nap. I don't think I ever go hunting without napping. So yeah, lots of fun messing with Murphy. Also, everything I want to immediately have, I have in the top of this. Let's talk comms. You may be at a dead spot, you may not be able to have good power, but the last thing you want to have when you do finally have signal is have a dead phone. I use this solar charger. It's got a solar panel on the other side. This solar charger has a light. Sometimes it's a pain in the butt to turn on. And then it's got 2 charging ports on there. I can charge 2 items at the same time. This particular charger, I can't remember how many milliamp hours it has, but it's lasted me a long time. Anyway, the last thing I want to be as the hunting guide or the hunting coordinator is to not have a phone that I don't want to have a phone that can't work. You know what I mean? So this is what I was trying to get into the pouch earlier, just to make sure that I have quick access to my spare fuel for the Thermacell, and then I've got the additional wrappings. Let's talk about wrapping. Whether it's trail mix or any other items, like, you can hear all these noises because I got the GoPro right there. These animals aren't going to hear all that stuff. I'm trying to be quiet with all this. But when it comes to wrappers, trail mix, beef jerky, you name it, like maybe use something else, baggies or something. So it starts raining, and it starts out pretty light at first, but then eventually later it'll pick up pretty heavy. This is another reason why I bring a blanket. Whether it's a poncho liner, whether it's a fleece blanket, my particular favorites are, I have basically like a it's almost like the poncho liner kind of material, and it's a sleeping bag. They stuff, like, they go into a small stuff sack. They work pretty good, but the zippers are noisy. So one of my favorite things to use is either the microfiber towels in green or a fleece blanket in green, and I can use that to cover the whole gun up, and it works great because it keeps the gun dry, especially if it's snowing, and I still have access. I can cover myself up, my arms, but we're talking about sitting. These are all night sits, and again, there are times where you're going to probably need to just stop, and you might need to get out of the weather. And so having a headlamp, this is not the time to find out you need a headlamp per se. And make sure you're communicating when you're going to get out of the stand. In this case, we all had a chat going. We communicated with each other like, hey, weather's coming in. I think I'm going to climb down. Other guys, yeah, I think I'm going to climb down. And so we took the time to just let each other know, like, yeah, hey, we all agree that by 1 a.m., we're all going to be out of the stands and just sleeping in our vehicles. Communicating that is really helpful because your guide may have already came out and helped you recover a game for this buddy or that buddy, and if he can get some sleep before you guys set up and get back in the stands, they're already in this case, they're taking the time to come out and help you recover stuff so you can stay in the stand. So be kind and inform your pester. Follow the rules. There's nothing difficult. And I will tell you, on that note, I'll pause this for a second. I'll tell you that if you think that your experience and your know-how from everything you've done anywhere else in the world, I don't care if you've hunted all over Africa, you go to somebody else's hunting land for the first time, for them the first time, you're not just representing yourself, you're representing everybody you brought with you and everywhere you came from. And so when you're a hothead and you go here and you think you know everything, you might know everything, but it's not your house. It's not your land. It's not your rules. It's theirs. And the pester is always right. You got to know that. And you might be one of those guys that, well, that place sucks. No, probably not. It's probably a you problem. So if you've ever had issues with other hunting areas and people have had issues with you, this probably isn't your forte. Just saying. Everybody that I've known that has had an open mind and has applied themselves and applied what they've learned, and not unnecessarily judging one another, but like just do the right thing. It's going to work out. It doesn't take long here in Germany after getting your hunting license and your Jungjäger. It doesn't take long for the Germans to find out like who's not coming next time. And they will quickly ask you like, what is wrong with that guy? So don't be that guy. Walking back at night, it's dark, you know where you're going. I had handheld thermals on me to help me see if there was anything there. Some states have permission to use green and red light at night. Hi, I'm streaming. So, know the rules. And here in Germany, most of the time, you cannot use any artificial light whatsoever. None whatsoever. So, walking at night, some hunters do have a pistol, but I will tell you, pistol, rifle, a combo gun like a drilling, like you can usually hear the wild boar coming through like a train, and you would already hear mama snorting at you and maybe even the piglets squealing. But if you've got critters that are kind of nestled down in an area and you have hedgerows and mama hasn't moved and it's late at night, and look, they get a choice. So have a knife, pistol, I don't know. I just say good luck, but at least having thermals on you, you can at least kind of see, are you stirring anything ahead of you? And maybe we'll go over some ways to avoid getting injured by pigs on another time. But you just got to understand, like, it's not always like rainbows and sunshine when it comes to being out in the woods and the elements here. You're talking about area. I'm not familiar with this trail. Thankfully, it's a direct path to my truck. But think about any other kind of forest where you maybe have to cross a couple trails, do something else. Like, you need to have your wits. I hope that makes sense. So let's kind of go fast forward a little bit here. And you can hear that I'm unloading for the night, putting everything away. So just a quick review. When you go on your first hunt, or even your second or third or fourth, look, it's not gonna be 100% always going your way. You might make mistakes in regards to forgetting to bring something. You might forget to bring your hunting license, which is, hey, probably not going to get a hunt. You may have forgotten your shooting book that demonstrates that you've gone to training to train on fleeting game, and maybe that's a requirement where you're going to. So your documentation could be very important. It particularly is important if you're in possession of a rifle here in Germany. I won't get into the tourist hunting things because I don't want to not speak on something that I necessarily know all well, but I will say I've been told one can hunt in Germany as a tourist, but not in the same ways and options as a licensed hunter here can. So you're going to make mistakes. You might misidentify game. And I'll give you roe deer, for example. Even though you can have a button buck, there's one thing that a button buck won't have that a female roe deer will, and that is a tuft of hair in their crotch area that sticks out like a long paintbrush, or like a long series of whiskers. Males will not have that. And I've learned my own lesson in that sometimes you just need to do a little more time identifying. And if you can't ID something carefully, then guess what? When you pull the trigger, it's on you. Now, another thing you might make the mistake of is just like that, misidentifying. If you make a mistake, if you misidentify a species, or whatever the case may be, or it could be that you had a bad shot placement and you ruined the meat. You ruined every bit of meat. Well, guess what? Just own up to it. Just own up to it. The thing is that that meat, that's money for the pester, and that money is going to go to maintaining the land. That money is going to go to potentially to litigation between landowner and farmers, because the game are destroying another crop. So it's a little different here. Typically, wild boar meat is not as expensive as venison, but it can be near it. It just depends. Some places that hunt, they're gonna charge outrageous prices on meat. Some places are gonna charge a sitting fee on top of paying for by kilogram a certain amount of euros. I would say that a good fair thing is probably about €3 maximum for wild boar meat. And it's not like, well, I only want to pay for the shoulder. I only want to pay for the ribs. I only want to pay for the backstrap. No, it's a all or nothing. So when you do have a chat group and you do pop one, it's sometimes a good idea to let a few guys ahead of know, and you'll know who's in your team. Like, hey man, if I don't get something, would you be interested in splitting, say, this or that? And so it might be, and it depends, but you can have wild boar that are any of the size from as up to I've seen on average up to 60 kilograms. So it can be difficult to expect, like, oh man, 60 kilograms times three, that's a lot of euros. Nope. Hold on, gotta check. No messages. So the you're talking like, well, what do they weigh? All right, so we're talking field dressed, right? The hide is on the cage of the animal, and you're gonna have basically the hair and the meat. Typically, if the meat has not been reserved for a local restaurant, hotel, or that pastor's own butchering business, unless that's already known, you're probably going to be responsible for taking the meat with you, or you're going to have to find a buyer. In this case, with Africa Schweinepest, where we were hunting here, we actually had to find a local butcher. Let me back up. We came here knowing that we all had to have our vehicles cleaned, our equipment cleaned, because we were coming from an area where we were closer to the impacts of Africa Schweinepest, but weren't in an affected zone. And being good stewards, we made sure that all of us were sterile and had everything cleaned, etc., before we came out here. We also agreed that if we shot any venison, any roe deer, that we would do all the butchering there and seal pack it there. Hence, everything that's back of my truck, that's right there, was so that we could do our own seal packing, and then we would just artificially age everything in the fridge for a few days before choosing to whatever we want to put directly in the freezer. I've done both. It doesn't matter. It's all good when it comes out as goulash or steaks. So what we decided was, if we did have a wild boar, we were going to we already worked out a place nearby that would take it, test it, and then they would process it for us. And then we could schedule for a pickup at another time. And we had one of our guys sign an agreement, go get a class on it. So when I'm sitting in the stand in here, he was actually down in town getting a class from the butcher, showing him how to run all the facility for the drop off, how to fill in the book, what to do, how to tag it, and then how to do reporting, and then and how to fill in the customer questionnaire on how you want everything processed. And then they call you and then you come get it. And the reason we did that was so that if that pig did come up as positive with ASP, we weren't going to bring it from another area to another area. And being that Africa Schweinepest or Africa swine flu is not zoonotic, you can eat the meat. Okay, you can still process it. I don't think I would, potentially, but then again, how many of us have ever known if something had ASP that we're eating wild boar goulash? My point, and I think even with the ASP ones, I believe, somebody can correct me in the chat, but I believe that only the harvester or the pester is permitted to keep that animal for eating, and you cannot hand it to anybody else. That includes any roadkill. If you do have roadkill, it's kind of another situation, a little different. I'm not going to go into the whole testing and veterinary thing on this one, but just understand, you might be buying the whole thing, and that counts the hide. And if it's a big pig, I mean, you're not going to eat the hide. So just understand, be prepared to go to the ATM machine. Here they do IBANs, international bank account numbers, IBANs. So having an IBAN payment sometimes is sufficient, but this is pay to play in some cases. And if you screw up the meat, they might make you buy it. And in some cases, not only will it make you buy it, but it might be a good idea to pay a little extra because you may have destroyed something that could have otherwise lived a little longer because you misidentified. So it happens. Just own up to it. But I guarantee you, if you don't own up to a mistake and you start to get an ego about it, that could go from them not having a problem with it to you might never ever hunt in that area ever again. And anybody that knows, everybody will know your name. Everyone. The word will travel. And yeah, so small community. And when you're an outsider coming into here, you make mistakes, just own up to it. All right, so that was number 2, was just understanding you're going to make mistakes. And then number 3, probably the most important, I would say, is, when you're sitting out all night long and you're tired and you're just exhausted and everything else, and you've been fighting with everything and you didn't have any luck, don't be the guy that runs off and just splits. Okay? Don't be the guy that just runs off and splits. Okay? Go participate. Go get your hands bloody with everybody else that was lucky. Give your high fives, give your Weidman's Heil, which is the traditional congratulations to those who have done well, and they respond back with Weidman's Dank. On that note, you take a look here at this tree and you see all these branches. Make sure if you are going to bag something, make sure you have one of the 5 branches or whatever's available in your area for your ownership branch into the traditions. I'll leave that for another broadcast, but just for those that are hunters or those that are training to be hunters, understand that, look, don't forget to get your branches. All right. Well, I see I do have one person here. I got Memer saying, thanks, Jeff. No, thank you. I appreciate that. I think you got the opening comment, so I appreciate that. Like what I want to get at is, don't forget to grab your ownership branches as you leave. And usually when they say break a branch, it literally means break a branch, right? And usually it's one of the lower hanging ones. It serves a purpose. It actually is. It serves a lot of purposes. And on another note, when you do go to a forest here and you are hunting, and you see that you have clear shots all the way through the forest, either on a drive hunt or an on-sits, and it just seems like it's very well manicured. Look, this isn't you didn't have college kids that were going to be foresters coming through here. You didn't have any Forest Service necessarily come through and do all that. You had the local hunters come in and do that. So, follow traditions, break a branch, not cut, break a branch, and make sure if you did have assistance with a bloodhound or another dog of sort to help you find your game, make sure that you have a branch also to award that dog, which typically is going to go in its collar after swiping the portion of the branch in the blood. So, let's see. I'm trying to think. Probably. This kind of ties into probably making mistakes. Things you might make a mistake on that you should avoid. If you hit something and you can't see where it went, but you have a general idea where it ran off to. That's another thing that I'll keep in my kit is let's see if I can find a picture of the kit. In my kit, I've got basically like a butt pack here, and then I've got a roll of red ribbon or just bright ribbon, and it tears off really easy, doesn't require any scissors or anything. And the reason that's important is because it's your start point. So you grab a stick or you grab whatever available. Maybe it's a sapling that's already at your turning point where you last see blood, or the first point you saw something run into the woods. Having that marker, that's good to go, because the thing is, you don't need to be walking on that trail. You do not need to be following that blood trail if you can't readily see. Thermals may or may not work for you because you might be obscured by vegetation, but having the thermals is better than not. I will tell you that much. But if you don't have a means to mark, then you got to grab a couple twigs or something and just find a way to like clearly mark, hey, this is where I started. And then you wait and you go, hey, I shot something, I can't find it, I need help. And that's when you need to be prepared to have some money. Because I'm just telling you, it's typically a minimum 50, 60 euros just to have them come out, minimum. And if they're going to spend hours and hours and hours, probably going to tip. I've been on a drive hunt where they were able to find my first red stag, and it was a relief to hear that dog handler behind my back yell out, "Weidmannsheil," and the dog found it. And it was only 175 meters from where I had point of impact, but it was still scared the crap out of me, thinking we might be, traversing through the wood line in Hohenfels for 2 kilometers, and that was where he was going to cost me hundreds of euros. And so the guy was like, no, you're not going to owe me anything because you helped me with my dog, and my dog got training out of it, and you had a good shot, and everybody's happy. That's not always the case. I had to have help before, others had help before. Something I shot, I thought ran one way, ended up in the middle of the night running back in a circle and literally being on the other side of the road. And it literally took the bloodhound going all the way up to laid over wheat in a field in the summertime and putting its nose like on the nose of the frischling until that frischling moved. And I still paid 50 euros for the 30 minutes that the dog had to search because the guy drove out 2 hours. Like, that's his profession. So be nice. Mark your start point and do not traipse all over your start point. All you're doing is you're putting all your scent on everything. You're going to throw the dog off. And just don't do it. And then I would say, in some occasions, when I do hunt, or I will have a scope mounted I will have a scope mounted to, or not a scope mounted, I'll have a GoPro mounted to the scope. And with thermals, I will connect the Bluetooth as like or not the Bluetooth, but like the Wi-Fi feature where I can connect the thermals to my phone, and I can kind of see the play-by-play video of things are going. So the reason that's helpful is because if you could imagine, I'm going to use this as an example. So I don't know how well you can see it, but there's a tree right here. And if I was to be standing here at nighttime using thermals and shoot something here, and I saw it run between here and here on the video, then I can play that back. And then if I don't find it, I can keep reviewing it, and I can eventually, kind of figure out, okay, where did it go? Let me see if I can show an example of, let's see if I can pull up this one video. I've got one kind of describing it. I think this might be it. Maybe this is it. Yeah, here's one. So just imagine, like, I know it's sketchy. Like having it, this is a video recording, and so I think I heard the pig coming around. But you need to, when I have the GoPro, I kind of have an idea of like where was the pig at when I shot it? Was it in front of this tree, that tree? Where did it run in between? Trying to remember where this was at. This Neuglass Hooten one was actually a pretty good hunt, and I learned a lot on this one, just how fast these suckers can run. And this is a drive hunt in an area where you see him right there. That boar just came across that road right there. Oh, I'm still on the big screen here. I apologize. Sorry about that. I'm working it. Let me pause this for a second because she's having a hard time keeping up. Yeah. All right. Bear with me. All right. So all right, I'm trying to do this capture device, so y'all bear with me. Have some technical issues here. All right, there we go. I'm having issues with the studio. Okay. Here we go. So all right, so I'm having error with the studio here. I'm going to see if I can get it to push a different setup. Let's try this. No, what we're having here issues. I'm having some technical issues with the stupid internet. Yep. We were having some issues. And Memer, I apologize that it couldn't get fixed in time by the time it cut out. Working it, man. I am working it. We'll sort this out. It'll just take some time. I am a novice at this. But I got hunting videos. I mean, and I've been able to do that, so that part's cool. That's going great. So yeah, I've also learned about like how different settings on GoPros can get all twitchy and stuff, and basically like just follow the manufacturer's setting on auto. It gets kind of glitchy, but at least the part where I start hunting, I think it gets a little clearer. Yeah, check this out. Now, when I first watched this video, I was like, oh man, I think I got him. And I did not. And you'll actually see the dirt kick up behind him. That's how fast he was going. Dude, I'm telling you, these things, they're fast. You can train on a trainer, but unless you're using like a real moving target with a distance, and you can make it move up and speed up, unless you're doing like a real target at like 35, 40, 50 meters. If you're not training on a real trainer, don't expect any like dividends on a shooting theater. Shooting theater will help you make decisions. Some of the virtual hunting games where you can be looking through like the headset and moving and having like a gun where you squeeze the trigger just like anything else and make decisions can be helpful. But I will tell you, dude, it's tough. So let's look at that again. That's the whole point of what I'm going to talk to you about is like I was talking about thermals. In this case, I don't have thermals, but I got video where I can like, oh, what did I do wrong? I just didn't lead far enough. Then later I have a situation where I get a chance to take another shot. Can't remember. Can't remember what. They're everywhere. critters. So far, I've seen a total of 10 pigs. I'm trying to find the time on this one. I think this might be it. Had another good shot I could take, but I ended up using the video to kind of find out, hey, where did I put the round? Did I hit it? Where did it run? Did it run in front of that? Yeah. Not enough time to identify him. You saw how fast that was, right? They're everywhere. I mean, they're fast. Trying to find the shot that I took on this one. Anyway, look, it gets fast. I couldn't verify in time that it didn't have antlers on kits. I think this might be it. Here we go. This is a good one. This is one where I had to play over and over and over and over again to find out, did he run behind the tree, in front of the tree? He stops. Now take a look. All right, I just paused exactly when I shot. Now, where I shoot, when I finally went down there, I had to figure out, okay, I shot him at this tree, and then I had to see which ones he ran in front of and behind of to go lateral of his blood trail. But when I got to there was absolutely nothing, because he goes into a divot here and drops his body down lower than the point of aim. It was right over his back. So, point is, my last point of this broadcast for this evening is having optics with some type of recording device, whether it's your thermals or whether it's your GoPro or whatever, it can be helpful. The GoPro that I have also connects with Bluetooth, so it allows me to keep it attached to the gun and just grab it and whatever. So hopefully this evening, for the one attendant I've had, Memer, thank you for joining. Hopefully the insight I have so far has been helpful. Hopefully it's been a little entertaining. It'll get a little bit better over time. But I just, I do appreciate, I really appreciate those that have gotten me to where I'm at now on everything I've learned. I appreciate the audience for taking time to listen, and there'll be more broadcasts like this. I've learned, if anything, that this broadcast is probably easier than dealing with the stupid software that's out there trying to get everything just to time up, because cutting and trimming everything to fit, and then you're trying to throw in sound loops, all this crazy stuff. It's just a waste of time. I think what people want is more just have some interaction, just describe what everybody's looking for. And to answer the question, it's the Jeff's Place European Outdoors and Travel is the name of the page, and it looks like. Let me see if I can go to it. Stand by. I'm going to go to my dashboard. It's not letting me go to my channel.
but I'm sure y'all have seen it. So, well, hey, um, not to belabor everything so far. I'm glad y'all chimed in, and yeah, sorry for shortcutting that video out, but I had my stupid face covering it up. But hopefully this was a little entertaining, and we'll keep it going. Are there any closing questions or comments before I punch out? Take a look just in case. Okay. Well, hey, I don't see any questions, so I'm going to go ahead and punch on out. And if you can think of a topic you want covered next time, or for me to consider covering, just type in the chat. I'll come back to this at another time, and I will likely consider whatever it is that is of interest. Yeah, I think I covered a lot this evening for a brief overview. So thank you all very much, and enjoy the rest of your weekend. Ciao, ciao. And please like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. I hate saying it, but I said it. All right, be good.